First of all, I'd like to thank all of you for coming to this webinar this evening. I'd like to thank Mark Goodman. He recommended that we have a town hall meeting with the two gentlemen that are running for president-elect, which are Bruce Barker, who is a petition candidate, and Jim Funkhouser, who was selected by the nominating committee. The way it works this evening is you'll be able to type in your questions to Mike. Mike will then read them, and then we will rotate. Jim Funkhouser will start first, and then followed by Bruce, and then the question number 2, Bruce will respond, and then Jim can answer secondly. This is being recorded so that you all know. We're going to take this recording, we're going to put it on the ASHI website so that anybody can listen to it during the next 45 days while the election is being held. So you can listen to it or suggest to other people to get online and listen to it as well. So the way that we're going to work this evening is we're going to give each candidate 2 minutes to give a statement. And then we will open it up to questions, which again, you can only type in, and you will type those into the chat session to Micah, and then Micah will read them. So with that, I will turn it over to Mr. Funkhouser.
All right, thank you very much, Tim, and thank everybody for attending. As a 30-year member of ASHI and a founding member of the Northern Virginia chapter, I've seen many iterations of the same old theme. Often what happens is the new president comes into office, he attempts to change some things he didn't like about how the board operated while he was on the board, meets some resistance, discovers that he's really not in charge, develops no real plan for how to meet the members' needs, accomplishes very little, and brings minimal value to the members. That's not my plan. Look, ASHI has some challenges ahead. We need to be bold. We need to have new ideas and very assertive implementation if we are to overcome these market issues that we're facing us right now. First, ASHI needs to build content on its website, and I mean a lot of it. We need to drive traffic to that new website that we paid dearly for to make sure that we start coming up first in the search engines. ASHI needs greater transparency on the board. This is something that we've heard from many presidents in the past, but it never seems to really come to fruition. Can you tell me what happened during the July board meeting? No. That's got to change. The members need to be kept involved and kept up to date on what exactly ASHI is working on and where in the direction it's going, and more importantly, have a say in where we're going. ASHI needs more content in its headquarters to member communications. The way that the headquarters responds to you says volumes about what we think of you. So ASHI isn't a business, it's a society. It must be responsive to its members. And ASHI always finds itself in more of a reactive place than proactive. I'm going to count on each and every one of you to help me because I can't do it alone. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jim. Bruce?
Well, thank you, Tim. Thank you, Jim. And thank you again for everybody coming tonight. It shows your commitment to ASHI. ASHI's gained a well-deserved reputation for values like honesty, integrity, and credibility. Although they don't show up on the financial statements, these are really some of ASHI's most valuable assets. Those who know me realize that they are also my core values. This is part of what attracted me to ASHI. What we've lost is the ability to deliver value to our members. And by the way, whether you call them members or call them customers really doesn't matter. Successful businesses deliver value that equals or exceeds the price paid. We need to reintegrate our values of honesty, integrity, and credibility with the delivery of value to our members. When we do this, ASHI will be a major force for good, both for our members and for our profession. So the question becomes, how do we accomplish this reintegration? We start by being open, creative, realistic, systematic, and unafraid. We need to be open to new ideas and new ways of doing things. And we need to be unafraid of change. We need to be open to asking questions. We need to be open to listening to what our members tell us and to what the marketplace tells us. We need to be creative and realistic when considering new ways of delivering value. We need to be realistic and systematic when making and implementing investments in programs and services that benefit all members. You know, I'm proud to be a systems guy. My personality is consistent with my MBA in systems and my degree in accounting. I'm quiet, and I'm not a fast talker. I'm more of a listener and a deep thinker. You can trust that what I'll tell you is what I honestly believe. But you can also trust that if I hear evidence that supports another position, I'm open and I'm unafraid to change my mind. I believe that I have the business skills ASHI needs to reintegrate our values of honesty, integrity, and credibility with our ability to deliver value to our members. I'd really appreciate the opportunity to continue to serve ASHI as your president-elect. Thank you.
Thank you, Bruce. Thank you, Jim. At this point, any of you that are on the call, if you would like to ask him a question, please type it in the chat area, and Mike will ask the question. But I think, Mike, you might have one or two that you can ask.
We've got a few, Tim.
Okay.
So I guess let's bounce. We'll start with Jim on the first question, and then we'll give the second question to Bruce, and kind of go back and forth in that order to keep things fair. So first question: do you have a short and long-term goal for ASHI that is membership driven? Go ahead, Jim.
Okay. Yes. First and foremost, in the short term, we need to attack those issues that are facing us and confronting our members. They come from a number of different sides. First and foremost, that comes to mind, is the threat to our profession by organizations like Amazon, Trulia, Zillow, Redfin, where they're changing the face of how home inspections are marketed, how home inspections are sold, and they will start to control the standards, the quality of that. Right now, the first thing that we need to do is reach out to those organizations and start a dialogue and saying that we need to work together on coming up with a way that the public can be best protected and that our members can do the fine quality home inspections that they're already doing. So that's the first thing that needs to be done immediately. As far as long-term goals, I want to make sure that our brand increases as much as we can possibly get it to increase. I have some plans that I would like to partner with some of the big box stores, including Home Depot, Lowe's, where we will set up local an arrangement with those stores to have local chapters and local groups of ASHI home inspectors set up a table once a month in each one of those stores to ask a home inspector, where their clients can come in, or their shoppers can come in, ask questions, get free advice, get some work for our members, and have that big ASHI banner right there. And we're going to start improving the branding. We also need to reach out to NAR and develop a relationship. Tim started this a couple of years ago, and we need to keep that going. They can be a great partner in understanding both sides of the fence so that we could reach them a little more of an agreement and be more of a partner in the working together rather than adversaries. Thank you.
Bruce, over to you. Bruce, are you there?
Yeah, I muted myself.
Oh, no worries.
Am I to answer that same question?
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine. The first thing we need to do is define value. Some members find value in things like camaraderie and networking and learning from peers. This is a great example of value provided by the chapters. For many members, though, value is transactional, meaning benefit in exchange for money. We need to accommodate all members' definitions of value. Transactional value comes from increasing revenue and from decreasing expenses and risks. All members can benefit from this. An example of value on the revenue side is the new website. We need to continue investing in the website so that it'll appear higher in the search results. People who are exposed to the website will use the Find and Inspector function. This drives leads to our members who can then convert them into inspections. Another example on the revenue side is the fact that Jim alluded to correctly. The real estate purchasing model is changing, and I agree with Jim. We need to be proactive but realistic about this change. Agents are going to become less important as referral sources, and they know it. So I agree with Jim. We need to investigate relationships with the Redfins and Zillows and Realtor.coms of the world, and that will help drive consumers to our website, which will drive business to our members. On the expense side, online education. Again, we need to be realistic that this is the way education is headed. We need to have good online education that's accepted by as many states as possible. Implementing this is going to require investment, and I think we need to make that investment, and we need to make it soon. There are some types of value that straddle both the revenue and the risk reduction. An example of this is digital badging. For those of you who haven't heard about this program, it's like the background verified inspector program. You get a digital badge that you put up on your website, and in this case, it will say that you are a specialist in a certain specialty field, like deck inspections or pre-drywall inspections. I'm actually working on a couple of pilot programs right now that should be out soon, and this will help start to implement that program. The Relevance Task Force report has a lot of other different ideas, and we need to have an honest and realistic discussion about these ideas and how to allocate these resources for the service of all members. Thanks.
Okay, so with this question, we will start with Bruce. How can your leadership skills be best put into one sentence?
I have a hard time putting anything into one sentence. Basically, my my leadership is quiet negotiation. There,
Okay.
that's one sentence.
Perfect. Over to Jim. Leadership skills best put into one sentence.
Bold and persevering is my philosophy on leadership and the way that I will act as president.
Okay. Let's go to, how do you see ASHI as an educator?
I assume that's to me.
Oh, yes, I'm sorry, Jim, up to you.
That's fine. ASHI is an educator. We've got tremendous resources. We've got a lot of canned educational sessions, and they're rather split up in different places. And some of the quality where we have filmed IW sections have not been the best. We're in competition with some very fine, have high quality production value educational classes, and we need to actually start over again in some cases. We need to have what people want today, and we're talking about high definition interactive classes. We have our executive director who comes from an educational background, and that is something that I would be tasking with him to look into the cost and implementation of putting together really state-of-the-art, high quality, easily accessed education modules, not only for our own members, but put them out there for all home inspectors out there. Let's give them a little taste of what ASHI can do. I think that once they see the quality of the education that we have with a new improved delivery method, that's going to bring in more membership, and that's going to broaden our awareness in the home inspection profession.
Okay, same question over to Bruce. How do you see ASHI as an educator?
Education at ASHI really occurs at two levels. One is at the chapter level. The other is at the national level. I covered part of this already. We need to have much better online education that is accepted by as many states as possible. That's going to require investment. We have in the past, tried to do it on the cheap, and it just doesn't work as well as education offerings from some of our competition. So we're going to need to invest that. Education also occurs at the chapter level. We need to make those resources more available, and we need to communicate what is available better at the chapter level. We have a speakers list. We have the ability to transmit education to the chapters if they choose to take advantage of it. All of these, programs and resources need to be invested in and promoted and communicated, because that's part of the problem. We do have some good resources. We need better resources, but nobody's going to use them if we don't communicate the availability of those resources better. And that's all.
All right. Next question will be for Bruce first. How do you intend to support chapters?
Well, when you think of it, LDC is probably the most visible way that national supports chapters, But we need to be open to asking the question, is this the most effective and way of providing chapter support? We need to have other ideas. Perhaps we can have a live LDC one year and an online webinar another year. That would free up resources to provide other support for chapters, perhaps financial support, particularly for the weaker chapters that can then use that to maybe pull in a national speaker that they wouldn't be able to pull in otherwise. Jim and I actually worked on a plan like that many years ago. Unfortunately, it was never really implemented, but it was a good idea then, and what was called the comp program is still a good idea, and I understand that the chapter relations committee is going to try to revive it, and that's a good thing. Go ahead.
All right, Jim, same question. How do you intend to support chapters?
Okay, well, first of all, LDC got just torn back as far as time. LDC is probably the most important thing that we do for the chapters and to help develop leadership, and that's where all of us came from, are from chapter leadership positions. So this year I was a little dismayed that it got cut to, I think, a total of 8 hours rather than 2.5 days as it has been in the past. I think that needs to be restored, and then actually call on the chapters to suggest input, what they would like to see at those training sessions. As Bruce alluded to it, I was thinking at the same time he brought this up that he and I were sitting at Longhorn coming up together with the comp program, which was a program that would make available monies and support to chapters to put on seminars. That's something that Mark Goodman right now, head of CRC, is working on, and I've been talking to him about modifying that, and hopefully that is going to get implemented here within the next several months. So that is another driving force where the CRC, or Chapter Relations Committee, can infuse a little lifeblood back into the chapters. We also need to have, as we witnessed with the problem with chapters coming up with their tax forms and their chapter or their not-for-profit status paperwork. A lot of chapters have had a lot of problem with this. We need to have a department within staff to where the chapter go-to person, may it be the president or the treasurer, can contact staff and get help right on the phone with filing the paperwork that's needed to make those entities legal, both for the safety of themselves, but also for the safety of ASHI National, because we do have some liability there if something were to happen. I would like to see we have a lot of canned educational sessions. I would like to see some of those put either on thumb drives if they're too big to download, or have it in some other delivery method to smaller chapters that may not have the ability to get speakers every month or whenever they have a meeting, where they could just project this on a wall or on a screen and get their their approved CEs right there. There are a number of different ways that we can help the chapters. We don't help them near as much as we should. In fact, with the latest member retention numbers that we got from Jen Gallegos this last board meeting, it showed that our free one-year membership, when you joined a chapter, is the most successful, has the highest amount of member retention of any other program that we have. So that just goes to show you that we need to keep supporting the chapters in any and every way possible. Thank you.
Okay, Jim, you'll answer this one first. What
Yes,
is the greatest resource ASHI currently has available?
The members. You are talking about a brain trust here. There are so many brilliant people in this organization that I'm so thankful every day that I belong to this. That's where we need to really push and look into new avenues. Many years ago, ASHI put out a series of technical bulletins. And these were chock full of great information. There was a series of 4 of them, and I still have them today because they're wonderful, albeit a little outdated because one of the issues talks about the new problem with FRT. That give you an idea how old these things are. But we should be putting out technical manuals like this that become a go-to resource for other industries. There are a lot of things that we can do. And I have to admit, I've lost track of the question. Could you repeat the question again?
What is the greatest resource ASHI currently has?
Oh, yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, it's the people. It's our members. That's our greatest resource. And that's what we need to be pushing. We need to let everybody know how wonderful our inspectors are. They don't. They see inspections as a commodity, and that's becoming more and more true every year. And we have to let them know that when you hire an ASHI inspector, you're hiring the freaking best. I'm done.
All right. Thanks, Jim. Bruce, what is the greatest resource ASHI currently has available?
Well, I would agree with Jim that the members are certainly one of the greatest resources. I think the other is ASHI's core values, the brand, if you will. ASHI has that well-deserved reputation for these important core values: honesty, integrity, and credibility. We need to leverage that so that the consumer of inspection services understands that when you hire an ASHI inspector, you are hiring someone with good, solid core values that will give you the best possible inspection available. It's ASHI's core values that, like I say, they don't show up on the financials, but they really are some of the most valuable assets ASHI has. That's all.
All right. Thank you, Bruce. Bruce, you will get this one first. Let's see. Sorry, there are a lot of questions. How can ASHI remain relevant to new inspectors, seasoned inspectors, and inspectors in licensed states?
I think the answer to that is multifaceted. Certainly, again, it goes back to value. Relevance equals value. If ASHI provides enough value that equals or is greater than the price paid, it will be relevant. If it doesn't, it won't. And it really, to an extent, doesn't matter whether it's a licensed state, a new inspector, or a seasoned inspector. It's all about value. The insurance program that we're rolling out, which was one of the ideas generated by the Relevance Task Force, that will apply to all members. It doesn't matter whether they're in a licensed state or not, whether they're seasoned or whether they're new. Education matters to all members. Doesn't matter where they are or who they are. We need to be providing education, particularly education that is accepted to the extent possible by licensing authorities in licensed states. That's all part of the value, and it's really all about that. Go ahead.
Okay, my turn. All right. Well, first of all, remaining relevant to all levels of inspectors and including in licensed states. First of all, when you're talking about, education is king when it comes to the chapters and for the needs of most members. They're primarily looking for continuing education credit. So you want to be able to offer all levels of education from your chapter, from beginning entry-level classes through advanced and expert level. So it keeps it all interesting, and we're meeting the needs of all of our members. A lot of times people will say, well, this is above where we need to be, but that's okay as far as the level of level of difficulty that a particular subject has in a class. That just stretches you. And those little bits of information that you may not need to know, I guarantee you will come in handy. Secondly, to be relevant in a licensed state, well, you have to offer state-approved CEs. That's not a hard thing to do. You can get members in your chapter, or in some cases, your entire chapter, approved by the state to offer state-approved CEs. That does a couple of things for you. One, that's giving education to your own members that they need. That's also starting to attract other non-ASHI members to your chapter because they need those same CEs too. So you could put out the word and say, I don't care if you're an ASHI member or not, you're welcome to attend. Expose them to ASHI, expose them to that chapter experience. And then finally, and really importantly, and I know that this is being worked on now, is mentoring programs. Boy, you have a lot of people coming into this field and they are lost. They can come to the chapter and they can get some free advice and they can make some contacts, but a mentoring program is actually something that a new member can call up their mentor and say, I've got a problem here, or how would you write this up? And there is no price you could put on that. That is completely invaluable and something that we're going to be exploring and putting into practice here in the next year, I'm hoping. Thank you.
Okay, Jim, you're up first on this one. What is the greatest risk ASHI may be facing today?
Amazon, Trulia, Zillow, Redfin. That's the greatest risk. We're becoming obsolete. We're becoming, we don't have to be part of this. I can guarantee you what's going to happen if we don't attack this soon. You're going to end up working for Amazon, whether you like it or not. That can't happen. I don't think that Amazon, they're a monster. I know. But if they start selling inspections, the price goes down. So only the people that are willing to do 5 inspections a day or 6 or 7 can make a living on that amount. The quality of the inspections goes down. And I don't think they've thought that one through. That's why we need to reach out to them and say, hey, listen, I think we can work together on a good model here that keeps the quality of the level of inspection up. It maintains a workable living wage for our members and protects you from potential liability. But that's the greatest threat. And it's the threat to the realtors. Here's another way that we could partner with NAR, is we could show them how a realtor is special and they can offer so much more than that hourly employee that Redfin is hired to just let you in to look at the house. We've got to keep this from happening. It's the commoditization of both inspections and being a realtor. And I think together we could fight this very well and keep you all working at the level that you need to be and the level you need to be able to protect the public. Thank you.
Okay, Bruce, greatest risk ASHI may be facing today?
Well, the greatest risk ASHI, I think, is facing is irrelevance. We need to be, again, I keep going back to this, offering value to our members. I hear this, I talk to several hundred people while doing my petition campaign, and to a person, it was lack of value. Now, I understand, Jim's point. However, I do take a slightly different view of that. If Amazon wants to come in, there is absolutely nothing I don't believe that we can do or that we and NAR can do to stop them. They're called the Death Star for a reason. Frankly, I don't think this is the kind of industry that Amazon would be interested in. There's not enough margin in it for them. There's not enough volume in it for them. But I think it is correct that inspections do have the risk of being commoditized. In order to counter commoditization, you need to show people that you are worth more. That we can do by essentially taking ASHI's brand and make sure that people understand that you're getting the best inspector. When people call and want to negotiate price with me, and I tell them, if that's your most important way, your most important criteria, you're probably better off with another inspector. But if you're buying the biggest and most important asset of your life, you need to have a good inspector, because after all, when you think about it, if you don't know what a defect looks like, you're never going to find it. So yes, Amazon can come in if they care to, but we can differentiate ourselves. ASHI and our members can differentiate ourselves by showing people that we know what defects look like, we know how to report them, we know how to protect their interests. That's the best answer I can think of.
All right, thanks, Bruce. Bruce, you will get this one first. How will you support non-chapter affiliated members of ASHI?
Oh, that's a great question. Depending on whose numbers you believe, at least 60% of our members don't belong to chapters for whatever reasons. And I think a lot of them are strictly transactional members, and that's okay. A transactional member to me means, I pay you money, you give me value. So it goes back to what ASHI can deliver. The insurance program's a great one. Online education is a great one. The Relevance Task Force suggested the remote mentoring program, which is the app that the CRC is trying to put together so that members can ask questions of experts and get answers that are good answers without attitude, and support them that way. Insurance, education, help desk, those are probably the three best ideas right now. There are a bunch of others, but those are the ones that can come out in the near future, and we can start looking at other things like maybe curating reviews, being more active on social media so that we can drive consumers to the website, drive consumers to find an inspector, drive consumers to our inspectors. There's lots of things we can do that will benefit all members, the unaffiliated members and chapter members. Jim, take it away.
I will. Okay, well, first and foremost, I've already got in the works, starting to put together virtual chapters. I'm going to do them in every time zone so that the time doesn't interfere with anybody's work schedule. As you can see with this town hall meeting, it's different times than wherever you are. We would do one for each time zone, and you could be a member already of a chapter or not to join this. And this would be also one way that the unaffiliated could be part of a chapter where they could vote in or even run for a member of the member relations committee or participate in committees. So I would be putting together virtual chapters. Secondly, I want to reiterate and keep pushing chapters to start webcasting their chapter meetings. And those are the people that are in an area where they could reasonably participate in maybe the occasional seminar, but can't get there on a monthly basis. So we're doing that at Nova ASHI. Hollis Brown is started with the OMG online meeting group. That OMG model would be the same kind of model I would have for the virtual chapters. Traveling education. We had the Excellence in Education a couple of weekends ago. That was very successful. That should be taken on the road to start to bring it to places where our unaffiliated can't seem to be able to either make IW or can't make it to Chicago. We'll bring those sessions to them and advertise them well in advance. So those that don't belong to a chapter will have access to really fine, high quality ASHI education. I've also, before Russell left, he and I were talking about putting together a traveling ASHI school where we would have a trailer that very kind of like what Kenny Hart does with his props and his demonstration equipment, and then take it to a different part of the country, arrange for a hotel for 2 weeks, and teach the class there and move it to different places. So somebody doesn't have to fly to Chicago or fly to some big city. We're going to bring the schools to them. Then that way we also are not having to pay for a big box store or box front to maintain the cost. It will just simply move. We need to be offering more business support and educational support for those people that aren't affiliated with the chapter, especially the education. So we want to keep sending out reminders to them, and then start just putting them on. Say Wednesday night, there's going to be a free 1-hour class on inspecting an electrical panel, and just put those on a regular basis. Let them, tune in if they want to, but there it is. We brought it right to them. And more web advertising. Let's start by looking at some of these, like Trulia, Zillow, for example. There's no reason why we couldn't buy a small little ad, emblem that pops up on every, say, 14th page or 15th page as somebody's scrolling looking at houses, because they're going to likely see that ASHI emblem, and when they're calling for a home inspector, they'll remember that, or hopefully they will, and that's going to help broaden their the awareness of those unaffiliated members in those areas of the country where we don't have as much of a presence. Thank you.
Okay, Jim, this one is for you first. How do you see the role of ASHI president?
The role of ASHI president is a leader. The role of ASHI president is the one who has a vision for the organization. The role of the ASHI president is to motivate the workers, motivate the staff, motivate the board, motivate the membership, let them know how good they really are, and get them to roll up their sleeves too and all pitch in, because we're all in this together. The role of an ASHI leader is to choose the best people for the positions, not just who we may like, but you find the best person and you get them to do what they do best. And there is no stopping us. So the role of ASHI president is to be the face of the organization, to reach out, make new friends, new relationships with other organizations that can benefit our members, raise the awareness of ASHI, and be that face, so that whenever you go to, whenever something comes up, people are already thinking about ASHI because of all the work that you've done. So you have to be that strong figure that says, let's push forward. Thank you.
Okay. Bruce, how do you see the role of ASHI president?
The ASHI president is indeed, the leader. There's no question about that. Motivator, of course, working with staff, but not getting in staff's way. We've had a tradition in ASHI of being very president-centric, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but staff needs to be empowered. The president needs to help when necessary, monitor when necessary, get out of the way when necessary. Face of the organization, Jim's right about that. Basically, it's being a consensus organization. The president also has to be a negotiator, be willing to listen to all sides and to try to come to a consensus and a compromise where possible, but be willing to make a decision and implement that decision where not possible. It's a difficult job. It's going to be an interesting challenge for one of us. I look forward to it, should I be given that opportunity. Go ahead.
All right, Bruce, this one is for you first. Should ASHI be managed like a business?
Well, heck yes. ASHI is a business. I mean, let's be honest about that. There are some that seem to be laboring under this idea that somehow building relationships and delivering relationship type value is somehow inconsistent or incompatible with running ASHI like a business. That's simply not true. In fact, they are very complementary. Both ASHI at the national level and at the chapter level need to be run like a business so that the resources are available to enable that kind of relationship type value, things like camaraderie and networking that so many of our people, our members want. The relationship type value is what the chapters can and should do best, but they need to be run like a business to make those resources available. And that brings up the question about running a business. To do that, you need people with business experience and business education. Good leaders in business listen to their customers, or if you prefer members, that's fine too, and they provide them with the value they ask for. But here's really the key. Great business leaders anticipate what the customers want before they even know they want it. That's the success of Apple and Amazon, Google, companies like that. Now, I'm not for by any means saying that I'm a great business leader. If I were, I might be running Amazon or Google. But I know the difference between good and great leaders, and I think that gives me something to strive for, to try to anticipate what our members want before they even know they want it. So yes, 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 ASHI needs to be run like a business, but that doesn't mean that relationships are incompatible, not by any means. That is all.
All right, Jim, should
All right.
ASHI be managed like a business?
Well, there's the business portion of ASHI. I mean, and that sounds gratuitous, and I'm sorry for that. But obviously, we have bills to pay, and the organization needs to generate enough money to not only pay the bills, but to give members the benefits that they truly deserve. But we have an executive director who we pay a lot of money for and who does an excellent job to run that business. I would say it's not the president's job to get in there and start running the business. The president's job is to lead the organization in the right direction. Secondly, whether you agree or not, we're not a business, we're a society. That's how we were founded. We run ourselves. We offer our voice to the upper leadership, and they react to what you say. That's our job, is to listen to you and to put into effect those things. We go to our executive director, who sees to it that that happens. In the meantime, we are moving the organization forward. So I don't know why we need another executive director in there running the business. The job of the president is to lead. Thank you.
Okay, Jim, this one is for you. Would you consider reinstating complimentary chapter memberships?
I'm sorry, something clicked in there. Could you read that to me one more time, please?
Sure. Would you consider reinstating complimentary chapter memberships?
Complimentary chapter memberships. Well, the memberships to the chapter are up to the chapter. So if they're talking about complimentary membership to ASHI,
Yep.
okay,
Yep.
That's fine. With regard to the numbers that I alluded to that Jen Gallegos presented to us at the October board meeting, absolutely. If they join a chapter, I'll give them a year, because our retention rate was, I believe, what was it, 43%? It was something like that, which was amazing compared to all of the other avenues that we tried. And God bless us, we've been trying to figure out different ways to increase our membership and to offer everybody a little taste of what it means to be in ASHI. And that means we gave out a boatload of free one-year memberships, most of which did not give us any kind of meaningful return. So would I entertain it for the chapters? Absolutely, I would. I'm going to do everything I can to support the chapters, and that's a great way to do it. That's a great incentive for people to belong to the chapters. We have a lot of ASHI members out there that are in an area where they can attend meetings. Well, you know, we need to bring in the new people, and if that can get us more members with a high retention rate, I'm all for it. I'm done.
Go ahead. Do you need me to repeat the question?
Well, again, assuming we're talking about free ASHI national memberships for those who join chapters, we need to be open to considering ideas. So would I be open to that? Yes, I would be open to considering it.
Okay.
That's all I have to say on the subject.
All right, thank you. Bruce, this one will be for you first. How can your leadership help me realize my membership's value?
How can my leadership? I'm not really sure I understand the question. The job of ASHI is to provide opportunities. So yeah, if the questioner is asking, how can my leadership provide him or her with opportunities to get ASHI value, the answer is by providing value that you perceive as being worthwhile. Whether or not anyone takes advantage of the opportunities that ASHI offers, that's really over to them. It's called personal responsibility. That may not be a popular term in some circles, but to me, we can offer value. We can provide the water, if you will. We can even lead the horse to it, but we can't make a horse drink it. So, we provide the opportunity. The member is really responsible for taking that opportunity and running with it. And that's all I have to say.
All right. Jim, how can your leadership help me realize my membership's value?
I'm going to be broadening the awareness of the ASHI brand in every which way that I possibly can think of, and then asking where else can I go. We're going to be I'll be starting to reach out back to NAR. Let's start to improve that relationship a little bit. Maybe we can get some ads in their magazine, or a column in their magazine. They get a column in ours. We start having our appearance in their magazines, and that's going to help brand awareness there. Also, starting to doing the partnering with Home Depot, Lowe's, Menards, any of those large big box stores, starting to bring up the brand awareness, starting to buy small ads on these different real estate online pages, Zillow, Trulia, Redfin, so that every once in a while that ASHI logo comes up. Now, I say every once in a while. If I had an unlimited pocketbook, I would be having it on every single page, and we'd have national TV ads. Obviously, that is very expensive, but there are a lot of things that we can do that's less expensive, where we can get a really good bang for our buck to raise ASHI awareness in those areas. Also, meeting with Amazon. Again, this can't be understated, and the fact that this is something that's actually happening. This is not something that's a threat that I've just thought up. They are working on this now. This is a real threat that needs to be dealt with head on. And as president, that's how my leadership is going to help the members.
All right. Jim, this one is going to be for you, and we've probably got time for this. May be the last one. We may have time for one more question. Of the current ASHI officers, would you be in favor of eliminating an officer position, and would you be open to eliminating president-elect in favor of a 2-year term for president?
God, that's a good question, because that's twofold. What comes to mind is the learning curve for being a president is pretty steep for this organization, and that's why we have the president-elect position. It seems counterintuitive, if you have a vice president and president-elect. But the point of the president-elect was to give that person a side-by-side vision of what's going on before they have to take the helm. So in effect, we already have kind of a 2-year presidency. It's kind of a junior presidency and then presidency. But I can tell you that anybody who serves in that office has had a great deal of problem dealing with their business. They have lost a lot of business because most of their time is being taken away. Yes, they are compensated, but when you come back, most of those realtors or most of those past customers who couldn't get you before aren't calling back again. And in some cases, it's pretty close to destroyed some past president's business. So asking them to put their business on hold for 2 years, I think is unreasonable. So in a perfect world, if this was a corporate position where you got paid very, very well, 2 years would be fine. But in this case, where we're dealing with volunteers and you're getting a stipend and you're putting your business on hold, no, it's not realistic.
Okay. Bruce, of the current ASHI officers, would you be in favor of eliminating an officer position? Would you be open to eliminating president-elect in favor of a 2-year term for president?
I think we have a good, officer slate at this time. We eliminate vice president in the bylaws changes. I don't see any need to change that. I don't see a need to change. I think we're good.
Okay. Tim, I will leave it up to you. Would you like me to do one more question, or would you like to end on that?
Let's do one more question. We have a hard break here at 9 o'clock, but we'll do one more question and then we'll close.
Okay. So Bruce, this will go to you, and this will be our final question. What do you think about holding board meetings in different locations around the country to open them up to more members?
My understanding is that that was tried at one time and was not terribly well attended. I can see the possibility of broadcasting the board meetings, either both video and audio, or audio only at some time, but I'm just not sure that's the best way to spend member dollars. That's my answer.
All right. Jim, what do you think about holding board meetings at different locations around the country to open them up to more members?
Yeah, the more we can give the members the opportunity to watch what's going on in the boardroom, the better, I say. Now, I understand that we're planning on having the April board meeting on the road, where I'm not exactly sure. So that's going to be an excellent experiment. Bruce's point is well taken. Just because we move it somewhere doesn't mean we're going to have a lot of attendees. And that was, if the point is to move it somewhere else so that we get more people, if it doesn't happen, that's really been a waste of money. If we could do a little bit of research and have a reservation system, and let's see, if we decide to hold this board meeting, say in Atlanta, how many people would sign up for it and how many people would attend? We do that ahead of time, maybe take a poll at IW. If it looks like we've got a decent number, then great. Now, going to Bruce's point, which is an excellent idea, I don't see why every single board meeting is not webcast. It should be, and an invitation to every member should be afforded, so that they could peer in from time to time or sit there and watch the whole thing and see what's going on at the boardroom. That is so vitally important, and that will dispel a lot of this divide between the membership and the leadership. They'll be able to see exactly what's going on. So I would like to see that done. That's my answer.
All right. Thank you both. Tim, do you want to wrap it up?
Yes. Bruce and Jim, thank you very much. We appreciate your taking the time tonight to answer these questions. To those that are on the webcast, those of you that submitted questions, again, thank you very much. We appreciate that. Miker, thank you for all your support. And again, this has been recorded. I do want to point out that we did ask Bruce and Jim in advance if we could record this and put it on the website, and they both agreed. So that was done. So anyway, this will be on the website for your listening, and please let your members know that this will be available as well. So again, to all of you, thank you very much, and best of luck to both of you.
Thank you. Thank you, Tim. Thank you, Bruce.
All right.
And
Well,
thank you,
that's
Tim.
gonna end. Oh, go ahead, Bruce.
Yeah, again, I agree. Thank you to everybody who was on it. Good night.
All right. Thanks, guys. That's going to conclude the webinar tonight. And remember to vote on Thursday. Ballots will be going out probably Thursday afternoon. So look out for those. Thank you all. Good
Thank
night.
you.